activated.
Let's talk about
the sexiest man I have ever laid eyes on.
Johnny Compian.
You fired up? We're fired up!
Now, this is Inside the ManCave.
Oh, God.
I saw this topic a while ago, and that's why I'm going to talk about it. And a good friend of San Antonio, he's a bass player for the band Disturbed. He put out there this article, and I read it, and I'm like, oh man, this is not good for musicians, everybody involved, because ANTHRAX had to cancel their tour dates due to out of control cost and logistic issues. And I'm like, okay. So I read the article and I'm like, okay, what happened to Stryper? Same thing. First thing I thought was like, who wants to see Stryper? Who's still a Stryper fan? There's still a lot of Stryper fans. They got a huge following. I don't hate Stryper. I'm cool with Stryper. Hey man, look. If you got a market, which I know it's out there, but there's in a lot of cities, no one wants to pay for Stryper to come in and play because there's no places to play at. Or nobody wants to pay the cost to bring him into town like it was back in the day. Or I don't know how it works. I'm not in the music business. I'm not a musician. I wanted to be a musician. I try to play music. I try to form a garage band. I've been through all that stuff. That just didn't work for me. But there's guys out of San Antonio, out of Austin, out of Dallas, out of Houston that have gone on and done huge things and are in the spotlight. And they make money. They don't hurt. Anything they sell, there's a guy, Travis Scott. Anything that Travis Scott puts out, people just like gravitate towards it and they buy it. The guy doesn't have to worry about anything. He's not dealing with issues like Stryper. He wants to go on tour. He's got it. Where do you want to go? Let's get, everything set up for you and, So, anyway, it sucks that ANTHRAX had to cancel that tour in Europe because they got a good fan base there. So like I said, what is causing this? And I see the bass player. I've met John Moyer a few times. He lives in Austin. I follow him on Twitter. And he's always working. He's a workhorse. The guy, he's always recording with bands and helping bands out that I know of because I follow him. I'm not a stalker or anything. I just know that he does a lot of work with different bands. And he's done a lot of stuff in San Antonio as a local musician. But he ended up with the band Disturbed. And a lot of bands, they went through a lot of big names. Look what happened to the stadium tour. 2 years in the making. Didn't happen. They had to cancel. But bands like Motley Crue are not like hurting. Maybe Poison. Maybe Joan. No, I don't know about Joan. Who knows? But John Moyer says, this sucks so bad it's become impossible for bands to tour and to put our shows that fans are used to getting. Bands already make very little money from album sales and streams. And now the only way to pay our bills is drying up. This sucks. You read that and I'm thinking,
wait a minute.
A lot of these bands, yeah, they depend on the merch, on vinyl sales, on stream, like he's saying. I get that. But I would like a little more clarity on it, because I feel that vinyl, you read about vinyl sales and they're through the roof. That market is a really good market on it. And it's crazy because I saw there was I love going to Waterloo Records in Austin, and they're having an in-store autograph session with Megadeth. So Megadeth is coming in. I think it's like at 11:30 for their release. I think it's like a midnight release. So they're opening the store up, and I guarantee you that the sales that night, or tonight, will be crazy. They will make a lot of money. I looked up because they were saying, in order to guarantee yourself a signature, is to pre-buy one of the albums, and then you pick it up, and then you get in line and guarantees you a spot. So I looked, and one of the indie releases that they had for the new album of Megadeth, it was $60-something. Okay. And with everything, the taxes, everything that come along, man, it was almost like $80-something. $80 for a vinyl. One vinyl. But you can also get the one that's not an indie release and pay $50 for it. Or if you just want a regular just vinyl, it's $27, I guess. But the vinyl is expensive. I just don't understand. Like, why are you guys not getting this money? What's the percentage? That's an interesting topic. Like, what are you guys getting? $15, $10? Well, I mean, there's a couple guys in the band. So what is the percentage? I'm sure it's shocking to us because we think, hey, these guys play a lot of shows. They tour the world. And when you read that they're not getting, that everything is drying up for these guys because they can't get enough money for album sales and streams, it's shocking to me. And you can't go on tour because of, out of control cost and logistic issues. It's like, I'm shocked. I guess you have to be a certain band in order for you not to have these problems. Obviously, Stryper, you would think Anthrax, somebody could fund them, right? Hey, let me front you this money and then you guys can pay me back. Do things work that way? Do you have to get a loan and go out on tour? Wow. Very, very interesting stuff. And I read that and I'm like, man, that is insane. Like, how crazy is that? But you know what? It's their job. They do that. And then another thing too, because these bands, they profit off this merch. You look at Metallica. Metallica is a machine, a money machine. There's so many things, so many ways that Metallica, they took control of their merch. There's a lot of bands that do that. If you buy a shirt nowadays and you look at the label, it's not like a regular Hanes label. It has Metallica on it, or the Black Crowes, or Disturbed, or there's bands that are like, this is the name that, it's on it and it's authentic. So it's, yeah, they do count on these products to sell for them in order to have money, to spend and to live life. They live a different life than we do, right? They do things much different than you and I do. They live a totally different lifestyle. I get it. I'm not hating on these guys. I just want life to be better for them. They deserve it. Me as a fan, knowing that, like, I've spent so much money. You spend a lot of money going to concerts. Ticket sales are not cheap. Going to a show is going to cost you, if you want to sit really close up, if you want to sit in the first, 10 rows for the stadium tour, you're going to have to dish out at least almost $5,000. If you want to get it, it's crazy because I looked at that and I was kind of looking at the way it works. If you want to sit in the right side of the stage, it'll cost you half of what you're paying, unless it's in the first 4 rows, right? But if you get on the left side, it's going to cost you almost $5,000. It's crazy, and it's because on the left side you have Nikki Sixx, on the right side you have Mick Mars, and that's the way I see it. You want to be closer, it's going to cost you more. It's crazy. And Ticketmaster, there's so many stories out there about Ticketmaster and the ticket issues. How these companies, these ticket guys that come out, I don't want to call them scalpers because that's an old word. There's something else that they call them now. But these companies will buy out a bunch of these tickets and sell them. I mean, look what you saw for Bruce Springsteen. People were complaining about $5,000 a ticket. It's already here, man. Like, that's what we're dealing with. That's the market right now. To see any concert, you're going to pay. You're going to pay to be close. You're going to pay to be, you want to be close to Lady Gaga, you're going to pay. You want to be close to Bad Bunny, it's going to cost you. I wonder how much tickets for that are. I bet you they're outrageous. I'll have to look into that. But to me, you don't see that because you're like, okay, I'm paying this much. I'm sure the band is getting paid. And then I saw, and I'm talking about this. I'm going to kind of reset a little bit. I'm talking about this because, it started with Stryper. Had seen that article like 2 weeks ago that they canceled their tour because they couldn't fund it. And I kind of like, in my head, I was like just laughing about it. Oh, this is a joke. Nobody wants to see, nobody's buying Stryper tickets. Well, I don't think it was about the ticket sales. There was more. They didn't have money to go. They couldn't, gas was expensive. And I don't know. I don't know. I don't want to speak out of line. But that's what I'm talking about. And Anthrax ended up canceling the show or their tour in Europe due to out of control cost and logistic issues. And this article was tweeted out. It was tweeted out by John Moyer, their bass player of Disturbed. And he says, this sucks so bad. He says it's impossible for bands to tour. And they're not making any money from album sales, streams. And now that's the only way to pay their bills, and it's drying up. He said, this sucks. So that right there just tells you, dude, it's hurting my pocket. I'm not making that money that I thought that I was making a few years ago. I mean, I'd love to get him on this podcast if I could. I'll reach out to him and see if I can get him on here. And I mean, a lot of guys don't want to talk about this because there's a lot of ego. Like, man, you know what? I'm so-and-so and I want to, I have an Audi and I got the top of the line Corvette and I got a house here. I got a house. A lot of people don't want to talk about it. But it would be cool to make us, the fan, understand, because there's a lot of people that will go out there and they'll read that and they're like, whatever. There's a lot of fucking haters out there who will laugh at this and make fun of it. I don't think it's funny at all because, they got kids, they got, a family that depends on them to go out and make money. And he's venting out that, dude, we're not selling enough album sales and, we're making a little money here and there. And it's shocking to me as a fan who goes out and will pay $50 for a shirt, $50 for a poster, $150 for a sweater, or a hoodie, and on and on. And I might be off because the Rolling Stones, you go to their shows, $100 for a shirt. A Kiss show, $200 for a shirt. I'm exaggerating. But in some bands, they charge, some bands charge that kind of price because people will pay it. I know some Kiss fans that will drop thousands of dollars to hang out, take a picture with Kiss, put the latest shirt on that nobody else has, that we can't afford, and get the wristbands and get the headband and everything else that comes along with it. So it's shocking. So those are the top dogs, and the bottom feeders. It's sad to hear because there's a lot of good bands, musicians going out. Back in the day, you would see a lot of people trying to sell they would pitch out to try to get their bands to play. Come see my band. Here's a flyer, and sell a couple shirts, and everybody makes, $50 a piece, and we get a bar tab. And I'm sure that John Moyer of Disturbed's been through a lot. He's seen it all. And he's now going, man, like you said, all these streams are drying up. The money's it's not flowing like it was before. Because you see how bands, how they live, how they tour, and we don't think about it. You're like, dude, I just spent a week's of pay to go to this show. And then you read this, boom. You're like, how could that be? How could that be when a concert hall is sold out and all your merch sold out and you're hurting? Like, what's going on? Like, what is happening? Where's the money flow going? Somebody's lining their pockets with it. That's an interesting topic there. It's a very, very interesting topic. I want to get into more of that. Hopefully I can get somebody on here to talk about that. I really want to talk about it. It's something eye-opening as a big fan who loves vinyl, spends a lot of money on downloading albums on whatever. You pay $10, $15, $17. You get vinyl, 25, 50, 100. There's vinyl out there that you get and you're like, just because of the variant colors, and the market has changed for the better. But where's this money going? That's the question. Tweet at me at Johnny Compian on Twitter. And you can also support the podcast show on anchor.fm/Johnny5150.